Hey everyone, welcome back to the All Music Matters in That podcast. I'm your host, Brian. Today I welcome a special guest. We got Tim Matthews with the group Shadows in the Dark. How you doing, brother?
I'm doing great. How are you, brother?
Not too bad. And I guess how you been recently? What's new?
Um, you know, Same old stuff. I've been working a lot on music this year, so basically that's been kind of my thing. It's raising my daughter. 'Cause I'm a stay-at-home dad, but I also have a job that I work from home, and then it's doing music. And then when my wife gets home from work later, it's time with her, and then some family time, during the week. But we're busy. We're just busy, busy, like everyone else, though.
Yeah, you and about everybody else, really. And I've talked in the
Yep.
indie community as well. So I guess, are you just a one-man group? Do you handle all the responsibilities with Shadow in the Dark?
Yes, it's been my passion project for years. I've always wanted to. I've always said, Shadows in the Dark always sounds like a really good name for a band. And I thought of it because I thought to myself, in this world, I kind of feel like, some people will feel like they go unnoticed. And to me, that was like, it's kind of like a shadow in the dark. You wouldn't see it, and, invincible or invisible. Um, so that's kind of how I came up with that name. And, I played with some different people and we had some different groups. We never settled on that name. We had some different ideas, but it never panned out anyway. So finally this year, I was like, well, I'd had COVID a couple years back and told myself after that, I'm going to write this album about my experience with it. And I was like, so this year, I was like, all right, I'm going to put my money where my mouth is. And that's kind of how I started just getting onto it this year and just working hard as I can to just start writing. Because writing is a long process. It takes time to get it where you want to be, to get it right, to get it perfected, and that's just getting, all the writing done and then, getting it into a mix and getting it ready to send off to somebody who can mix and master it and do all those things. So it's a long process, but I've really enjoyed it despite the times that it's been really frustrating.
Yeah, I can imagine. And actually, which part of the world are you hailing from?
Oh, I come from Indianapolis, Indiana.
As an indie guy, are you a big Colts fan as well?
Yes. Yep. Love my Colts, despite some of the issues they've had since Andrew Luck retired.
Yeah, that's true.
Because
But I
Andrew
guess
Luck
you,
was my dude.
I was gonna say, you also had the issues with Andrew Luck as well, too. I mean, he was trying to be like the
Yep.
heir apparent of Peyton Manning after he left. So,
Yeah, I mean, and I think, I think if we'd had a different general manager, if we'd had some different decisions made to protect Luck and like keep him healthy instead of getting him destroyed for years, he might have played a lot longer, and he probably would have been one of the greatest to ever play the game.
maybe. But that's a
But
different future, yeah.
it's a different story. There's no way of knowing. So
Yeah. So I see what you mean. But you get to elaborate on music here in just a little bit here, too. I would say, I was seeing the name first. I immediately kept thinking of Ryan James Dio with Rainbow in the Dark, or even like Hooba Stanks, Crawling in the Dark. So,
yeah,
got a little play on words. So,
yeah.
but you get to elaborate on that just a little bit here too, Tim. But first off, I want to welcome you to my podcast. And the way this is going to work is I'm going to ask you some questions. Let's get to know who Tim is, both as the musician, but also as the individual as well, too. So, ready?
Yep. Yeah. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it. Sounds great.
No worries. So, we'll start at the beginning right here. So, I guess let's get to know the man behind the music and everything here, too. So, I guess, who are you? And how did you become a musician?
Well, I became a musician. When I was younger, I wanted to play guitar. And that was like my thing. I want to learn guitar, Mom. I want to learn guitar. And when I was 12, I got my first guitar, started taking lessons. But at 12, I didn't really take it seriously like a lot of young people do, which I encourage young people to take it seriously. Trust me, you'll love it in the future. But so I kind of stopped doing it for several years and then kind of just started self teaching myself through my teenage years and continuing into college. And then I kind of got more serious, took some more lessons, and tried to actually make music with people. And that kind of helped a lot trying to, actually, arrange music with other musicians that could also help me and I could help them. And that helped a lot. And the drawback with this band, I've had to kind of come and go from playing music because I've been through a lot of health problems in my life. When I was 13, I found out I had kidney failure, and I had a kidney transplant at 13. And then at 16, I had a second transplant. And then that lasted for a while. And right after I got married with my wife in 2010, I got meningitis and I lost my kidney again. So I ended up getting another transplant a couple years later, 2012. So, the health problems kind of took me away from doing it for a while, but then I'd go back. So I got healthy for a while, about 2015 through 17, 18. I started playing a lot, played with a lot of guys, got a lot better. So that was really good. And then I kind of, again, fell back from it. And then we get to 2022. That's when I got COVID, and then I had it really bad. And I was told I wasn't going to survive it, and I ended up being in the hospital for 3 months. And that's where I came out and survived. And I'm like, okay, when I get healthy, I'm going to write an album about what I went through. And then that's when I got just really serious about it, started taking additional lessons. And I wouldn't say that I'm like the greatest guitarist or anything. I'm not, I'm not that great, honestly. But I know how to do rhythm. I know how to make, music. And so I just kind of put it all together and started to do it myself. And I really enjoyed it. So that's kind of been, this year, that's been my thing so far. Yeah, other than that, I'm a husband, father, normal guy. I take care of my daughter. She plays t-ball. I coach baseball. A lot of normal things that dads do and guys do. But music has been my number one. Well, besides my family, but been my number one passion recently.
Yeah, we can't put family at number two. We got to make sure they're the number one. So
yeah, my wife would probably kick my ass.
Well, we know you're sleeping on the couch or the ground tonight, buddy. So we'll see
Right.
what happens.
You can stay in your office with all your musical instruments and stuff. Sleep with them.
Yeah. Actually, how is it being a coach? Are you for Little League right now, or I guess?
Well, I'm one of the coaches for my daughter's t-ball team, which that's awesome because it's little kids and it's really they don't all know what they're doing. It's kind of like a circus, like herding cattle or herding monkeys or something. Just kind of keep them organized, keep them focused. Like we had a game last night and we had a full team. The other team only had 3. It was kind of sad, but we made arrangements to be able to play and everything. And but out of the 13 kids, I swear 6 of them probably were breaking out crying and just meltdowns. And I'm like, man, this is just not a good night for you guys, But our game was kind of late too, and we're kind of like, well, this is kind of late for 3 and 4-year-olds. So, but then I also coach adult baseball in the Indiana Baseball League, which I've been in since 2013. Started as a player there. I played baseball pretty much all my life. Except when I was, sick through all my health issues. But so I started playing there as an adult, played for several years as an adult, then kind of became a manager player, and then later became a manager, more so, kind of retired from the playing aspect, and then just stayed as a manager, a coach. So right now I'm an assistant coach, or a dugout coach, as they like to say. I like to be in the dugout and keep everyone in line, keep their heads on level checks. These are young guys. They're I'm in my upper 30s. They're, 18 to 25, most of them 26, so just kind of keep everyone together, level-headed, hyped up for the game, keep their minds focused, things like that. But it's with, I've been with basically the same team the whole time I've been here until last year. It was kind of last year, was with the same team. And then this year we took some of the guys from our team and we basically started a new team. So yeah, Indiana Baseball League, 18 plus Indy Royals.
Actually, I was kind of picturing you doing like what Lou Piniella and like maybe like some of those managers who got, I won't say dramatic, but I mean like, obviously see them like taking the bases or they're kicking their hats all over the place. I think the minor leaguers get pretty serious.
Well, yeah. I mean, we got guys, they strike out once, okay, they strike out again, and they're coming, the helmet's going, the bat's going, and it's like, all right, let's just calm down. Or, the big thing these guys do is if they don't like what the ump's calls are, they start arguing with them a lot, and then that can get you ejected real quick. So it's like, all right, let's not focus on that because we need you to play. You want your good players playing. So, but this has been a good year so far. But
I'll say it's a matter of pride at that point there too. So, and
Yeah.
how you been feeling recently? Because it seems like you really got through a lot of kidney problems as well there too. So I guess how bad was that?
The kidney problems, I mean, they actually weren't considerably bad compared to what I went through with COVID. You that was a very traumatic and kind of horrifying nightmare of experience. Of course, there's good days where I felt better, and then, but it's like I had COVID. I didn't feel like I was that sick. I was like, okay, we're getting past it. Started feeling good. I just started going downhill and got sick. So ended up in the emergency room. They admitted me to have COVID, and I was kind of fine for a week, 2 weeks. I was like, okay, I'm probably gonna get out of here in time for my daughter's birthday, because she was turning 2, right? Then. So then they were like, no, we're not gonna have you out, by then. But and then like sometime after that, I just started getting really sick. Like I started not being able to breathe really badly. Like, and I could feel it coming on. It just started getting worse and worse and worse, to the point that they had high flow oxygen on me. And then eventually that wasn't enough. And I started getting really bad, and I got infections and just got really, really physically sick and everything. And they had me on like lots of medicines. And then at some point, it was probably I went in the hospital January 31st. It's probably the end of February around. And the doctor comes in and tells me very coldly, she explains some things. She says, we don't believe you're going to survive this, or there's no reason you'll survive this. So then they start talking about these options about what's going to happen next, and getting me with palliative care to, make me comfortable and all this, and saying, now, if you survive, best case scenario, you're going to live in a home the rest of your life on oxygen. And you're just thinking, that just sounds terrible. And but at the same time, I'm like, well, if I survive, I survive, and I can still see my family, and I can still maybe I don't know how physically limited I would be, but thanks God I survived. And it was a long journey. I got out of the hospital. I went in January 31st, and I got out May 2nd. And then I went on, it was just a long road to recovery. And then it took me a long time just to get feeling better. I was on oxygen a while, so we were in a house with stairs. It was very hard to go up and down the stairs, before my lungs had healed, but they weren't healed. But I was doing physical therapy and anything and everything to try to get better. And then in like July of the same year, we were camping, and I started having seizures. I'd never had seizures before. And I don't remember much after it started, but I was in the hospital for another week. I woke up 3 days later and was like, what happened and everything. I was in the hospital a week, got out, and that was just kind of a big setback at the time. But once we got to 2023, it slowly got better and better. And the thing is, I lost my kidney because of COVID, this third kidney. But I was already getting sick before that. So in June of 2018, they had activated me on the kidney transplant list. But when I got COVID, they took me off because of critical illness. Like I wouldn't be healthy enough to undergo the surgery if they got a kidney for me. So they took me off the list. And in 2023, I spent so much time doing tests and retests and all this, just jumping through hoops and barrels and whatever cliche words you want to say, or statements. And finally this year, I got reactivated in February. So it was a long road coming. But finally, I'm back on. So now I'm just waiting for a transplant on that spectrum of the kidney disease, and I've fully recovered from COVID. So that's great. So I've been feeling really good lately. So I will hopefully feel as good. And I'm on dialysis too, of course, because my kidneys don't work. So, but I've been feeling really good, and I just, hope that every day I'll keep feeling good, and the days I don't, hopefully the next day's better. And, because when you feel good, you can do more, you're happier, you're more confident. It's just means the world.
Yeah, that's very good to hear. And I guess sorry I had to really go through all the sort of struggles right there, I guess with COVID and as well as the kidney problems. So
yeah,
I guess
it's part of my story, and that's kind of part of my music also. So it's good to have that story out there. People kind of can see it and understand. And then when they listen to music, they'll like, oh, okay, like we know he went through stuff, and now we can really hear about it, or in a musical aspect.
Yeah, I have done a lot of interviews where people have. It's been kind of like, I don't want to say 50-50, but some people, they were okay with COVID, they didn't really get it, not affected by it. Others may have lost like family members and along those lines too. To say yours was
Yeah.
definitely one of the intense stories I've heard, to be honest too. So I mean, it seemed like
started
it
with
could
my
go wrong.
wife. Started with my wife, and then my daughter got it, so I was taking care of them, but I was being cautious. And all they had was like they were really tired. They had no real side effects, and they got over it in maybe a few days. And then I didn't feel anything for, I tested positive, but I didn't have like any symptoms. Like then I had the tiredness, but then I felt fine a little bit later, and then suddenly I started getting sick, and it didn't seem like it was COVID. And then went to the hospital, and went downhill from there, kind of.
Yeah. Actually, I remember having it a couple years back. I think now it's been a couple of years already, but it was because me and my family were bar hopping in Nashville on Broadway. So you can imagine just one of those.
I bet that was a fun time, though, at the time.
I mean, yeah. I mean, who wouldn't say it was a fun time? And but of course, it's almost like no good deed goes unpunished, or I guess now we should say like no fun deed goes unpunished at this point.
Yeah.
So
I can see that.
I see. I guess I sort of like to ask this question because sometimes people have found maybe some sort of blessing in disguise with what COVID did outside being able to like work from home. Did COVID offer any blessing in disguise in terms of music wise?
Well, I mean, it inspired me for sure when it comes to music. So there's that. I think more so, it inspired me, or the blessing in disguise to come out of going through that event is that it gave me a greater appreciation of life in general because so many of us, even we're not thinking about it, we kind of take life for granted. We don't think about, it could all be over tomorrow, so it just gave me an overall greater appreciation of life and kind of a zest for wanting to do as much as I can while I can, especially with my family, because I was, thinking I wasn't going to see my daughter again or my wife, and my daughter's only 2 at the time, and I didn't want to, leave my wife widowed with a 2-year-old, of course. I mean, who would want to? But it definitely inspired me musically, obviously. The album I'm writing is called Dead Fighter Survivor because, they told me I was going to die, then I fought and I survived. Just thought that was a decent title, But obviously the musical content on it is, it's all stuff that's kind of based off what I went through. And I try to write them lyrically. I'm looking at trying to write it as kind of start out with the bad stuff I went through and then kind of get to the ending or the breakdown, bridge ending, however you want to, describe it, to show the good side of it, like the uplifting part of that specific topic the song is on. So, yeah, I mean, like I said, I told myself I was going to write this album, and it took years, and finally started doing it. So I think that's a good thing. It got me back into music. I don't know if I'd gotten back into music if I hadn't had it. I probably would have played a little, here and there, but I don't know if I would have gotten back and taken it as seriously. You know what I mean? And then trying to learn more, constantly learn more, and get better and better. Which I don't think I would have. I don't anticipate that I would have done it if I hadn't had COVID.
I see. It is good to see you are doing well there, mate. So good to have you along for the ride here too. So I guess are you getting ready to do your next kidney transplant soon?
I'm on the waiting list, just waiting, and it could happen at any moment. I just get a phone call from my coordinator or somebody, and they say, hey, we got a kidney for you. We need you to come back down to Indy and the IU hospital in Indy, and we'll get this going. I mean, literally, that's how it is. I think last time I had one when I was 26, they called me while I was at work, and I didn't answer because I was at work, and then it ended up my mom, because you have to put like multiple people that they can call that can then get in contact with you. And my wife was at work, she didn't answer, so we got to my mom, and she got a hold of me, and she's like, Tim, have you answered your phone? I was like, no, I'm at work. She goes, you've got a kidney. And I was like, what? You know, you're joking, like, you know what I mean? Because you just don't expect it when it comes out of the blue. But anyways, it was, you know, they wanted me there just the next morning to get it and go, and it was that quick. Sometimes they want you in sooner, but they just had me come in the next morning.
All right, and hopefully you get the call pretty soon here too. Actually, it'd be very fun if it happens like right now. I'll try to use my magic touch right there.
That would be crazy. That would be crazy. I'd be like, nah. It's funny though. You mentioned that. Every time I get a call that's from the hospital, because they have a specific number that always comes through, I'm like, is this it? Is this it? And then it'll be my coordinator wanting to ask me a question or something. I'm like, oh, come on.
All right. But hopefully bright days are ahead right here. Let's get that kidney in this guy right here because he's going to kick some major ass here. So you did cover those questions, but I guess let's go ahead and jump to the music a little bit here too. So you did kind of elaborate about Shadows in the Dark and I guess what your lyrics are about too. So I guess how would you describe like your genre of music?
Well, I've been a hard rock, metal, you know, and then kind of all the off genres of metal and rock and roll. There's so many genres of metal, but I tend to personally like metalcore, which has become a very popular genre over the last 10 years. But back when I was in college, like that was kind of the boom of metalcore at that time. You know, Killswitch Engage, All That Remains, Bullet for My Valentine, Trivium, As I Lay Dying, you know, were some of the bands that really came out and just drove that metalcore genre. And I know a lot of people don't like it, but you know, everyone has their opinion, and that's mine on that. But teach their own. But so I really like that type of stuff. So I try to write in a similar thing, but I'm trying not to make it all sound the same as everything else that's out there, which is so hard. Just today, I'm not even joking. Just today, I was listening to the new Eminence album, and they have a song. The album's called The Black, and they have a song called The Black, and I hadn't heard it before. And it comes on, and it starts going, and they have a piano chords that they're just playing, and I hear it, and I'm like, holy shit! This is the same chord pattern and same chord, same pattern for a song that I wrote this year. Now, obviously, their album just came out, but they probably wrote it sometime last year. But either way, just super coincidence, and it is identical, you know, for the first 10 seconds. And then they go on and they do something different than what I do. But it's just ironic because I'm like, it's the exact same. But anyway, plus that album was really good. So anybody watching, if you like them, go check that out. But yeah, so metalcore is kind of my genre. I kind of feel like this album's more been hard rock overall, more like, you know, I have a lot of inspiration from like Breaking Benjamin and Chevelle from back when I was in high school. Linkin Park, like I grew up during that age of Linkin Park, Evanescence, Chevelle, Breaking Benjamin, 3 Days Grace, either some of those bands. So I think there's a lot of influence in my music from those bands today. I have some songs that are a little more on the metal side, but I have a few more songs I want to write, and I'm trying to kick it up a notch on those. So bring something a little bit heavier to the table because I'm all about the heavy music. But yeah, generally metalcore is my genre of choice. Hard rock, metalcore, yeah. But again, there's so many genres. It's like, well, what genre is this band in? What genre is this band actually in? Because you can't just say, oh, they're a metal band. That's, you know, this type of metal, that type of metal, or this type of rock, that type of rock, you know. And I'm just like, you know what? It's good music. If you like it, don't worry about its genre. Just enjoy it, you know. And yeah, I mean, people
It's
need to
just metal,
enjoy the
baby.
music more. Yeah, besides worrying about like, oh, I don't like this band because they're this or they're that. You know, if the music's good, you like them, that's great. If you don't, you don't. And, you know, but overall, people just got to enjoy the music more, regardless of the genre.
I think a lot of people got to enjoy life a lot more these days. So you can see
Yep.
why.
And
And
music, I think, is one of the best things you can have in your life. Whether it's rap, country, rock and roll, metal, you know, every single genre, every single type of music has great stuff for people, and people are always going to love music, and music is part of our soul. I think.
it's the language of the universe, which I know a friend of mine, a good friend of mine, a drummer out of South Africa, he had mentioned it when I interviewed him a while back. They said it's the language of the universe, as they like to say. So
Yeah,
they can see why.
yeah.
It is funny when you mention about
And there's
like,
always music that speaks to you.
oh, sorry.
I said there's always going to be music that speaks to you personally, and that's why we get favorite bands or favorite songs. And there'll always be something out there for everybody.
Yeah, that's for sure. I was going to lead into this because it's funny when I mentioned about As I Lay Dying, because I remember listening to them a while back. So you could say I went through like a deathcore, metalcore sort of phase right there in the high school years. But then I think
Yeah,
after the whole thing with Tim Bassis, after what he
yeah,
almost did, it was almost like
yeah.
it just like As I Lay Dying just dropped off the map for me there too. So I guess how tough was that for you when you heard like he conspired to kill his wife?
Yeah, that's. I wasn't sure what to think. I was like, is this real? Because sometimes it's just there's stories that get made up. But of course, they had evidence and everything. So for me, at the time, I listened to them a little bit, but I wasn't like deep into them like I was bands like Breaking Benjamin, Chevelle, Bullet for My Valentine. I was huge on when they came out of the scene when I was in high school and college. Um, and Kill Switch Engage, still one of my favorite bands. Their As I Lay Dying album that came out in 2006, still one of my favorite albums. It's one of those that's just it's kind of perfect. So, but it wasn't super hard for me because I just wasn't like a huge fan. I did like their music, but I wasn't as a huge fan of them. But I was kind of like, man, that's messed up, and obviously it's wrong, and it's morally wrong, and it's kind of horrible and horrific that if it's true, if that's true, it's like that he would try to do that, and obviously they you're right, they fell off the map, not just for that, but in general. But I think now he's back with them, and they're back, and he's clear of everything. So see how that goes for him.
I think what's funny about it was I think when he did come back, I think they did like a roundtable sort of discussion between them. But it seemed like
Mm.
two when they came out with like the new album. Was it Rain and Fire? What's the name?
I'm not sure actually.
It was something like that. But regardless, when they came out with their newest album after he got released from prison, he was a lot of fans were kind of upset. Maybe not fans, but I guess people in general were kind of upset saying like it was a cash grab and stuff like that
Mm.
too. So it's a little bit tragic because I'm pretty sure he's looking for some sort of forgiveness and just try to pick up where he left off. So
Yeah, I mean, I would imagine so. Plus, he probably needs the money.
that too. Yeah, it's kind of unfortunate, but we'll get to that in just a sec. But I guess out of all the bands you had listed right there, I guess who would you say has been your biggest influence in terms of your music?
I'd say, well, Breaking Benjamin and Chevelle are two of my favorite bands. They're a big influence. A couple other bands that I like that they're not new. They started back in maybe 13. At least so maybe in the last 10 years. Like I'm a big fan of Wage War, which I'm actually seeing tomorrow with Nothing More, Veil of Maya, and Sleep Theory. Which I don't know if you've heard Sleep Theory, but they're relatively new. I think they released their EP in September, just a 6-song EP, and it's really good. And they've been kind of making their mark, touring with a lot of big bands. And I said to myself when I first heard this last year, this sounds really good. I think these guys might be the next kind of big band. Which ironically, I saw Nothing More with Chevelle years and years back, and they were so good. They were one of the openers, and they were so good. I got to meet them afterwards, and I told them, I said, I think you guys are going to be big one day. And Nothing More is a huge band now, so I did predict that one right. But also Fit for a King, that's another big band. That's a big influence for me, especially lyrically, the things they write about, and their playing is probably a little more advanced than I am guitar wise, But yeah, I still take, I take influence from a lot of places, and it may not be specifically how they do this with guitar or how they do this drumming wise and bass wise. It could be just the vocals, or it could be the lyrics. You just take pieces from things and you put it all together into something that's kind of uniquely you. So I try to think of like other bands, but I may have to think about it.
Did you see? I know you mentioned All That Remains. Did you see they're coming out with something new with Jason Richardson on lead guitar?
I have not heard of that. I've been hearing a lot about Jason Richardson lately, because I know he's been helping write a lot of stuff. I think he was one of the writers on the new um, Falling Reverse song, Ronald. I believe he was. And I was like, well, that's really cool. But I hadn't heard, rest in peace to Ollie. But that's really cool.
Yeah, that was pretty sudden too when I heard that he had passed. And I guess that was before they came out with their newest album, right? So
Yeah, the album, he recorded everything, so everything was done. But it was before that last album came out.
I was trying to remember what the name was too. It's kind of escaping me at the moment. I've been on and off with them too, but I guess it's more because I listen to more of Fall of Ideals and Overcome most of the time when it comes to All That Remains.
Yeah, Fall of Ideals, that is a masterpiece of an album.
But that, at the same time, it seemed like when they kind of, I don't want to say deviate, but I think most people kind of got upset when Overcome and then a lot of the later releases seemed to kind of move away from that music style too.
Mm-hmm.
But I guess
Yep.
I feel like it was a good thing because it didn't make them like a one-trick pony, if you know what I mean.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, what's your opinion of All That Remains and their sound these days?
I mean, I didn't mind. I kind of liked the last album. Um, it was super heavy, which I really liked. Um, but I haven't listened to anything. If they have anything new right now, I haven't listened to any of that. I haven't been following as much as I used to when, way back in 2006, 2010. They had Fall Ideas, and then they had the second album that came with, was it called Overcome or something that came after that? I really like those two albums. Fall of Ideas, obviously, I like more, but uh, after that, I kind of got away from them for a while and got into a lot of different bands. So when they came out with that last album, I remember I listened to it quite a bit, and excuse me, if I remember correctly, there was quite a few songs that I liked, but I don't remember the album as a whole anymore to to describe my reaction or how I felt about it at the time. Um, but they are one of the bands I think that pioneered metalcore during that time. So, you always have to have respect for them. And again, Ollie was an amazing guitarist, and it was really sad to see him pass. But, we hate the tragedy of losing rock stars and friends and whatnot. And, that's kind of the way of the world. And like you said, I was talking earlier, you never know what's going to be your time. So you have to enjoy it and, put your time in to just do something for to add to the world. And, especially like creating music is great for everybody. Um, so you just have to appreciate it. And that's kind of where I'm at. But yeah, as far as their new sound, if they have their new sound, I haven't heard anything new from them for a while, so I wouldn't be able to tell you how I feel about that. Do they have any like new singles that they would have for the new record that
There
you've
is a
heard?
song. There is a song, yeah. It's called Divine. In fact, I heard it on the
Okay.
radio recently. Not sure if it's a single that's like on all streaming and music platforms, so let's say go check it out too. But it does sound pretty killer. It seems like
Yeah.
it's a nice blend of like all the music they've done. They got the heaviness. Phil is still kind of doing his signature screams and
And that
everything too. So
and that one's with Richardson.
yes, I believe so. So
Cool.
and as far as I can tell, I
Yeah.
think he's still at least kept the same style that Ollie they kind of did throughout their years. So
Yeah. And Phil Labonte's a great front man. He was able to, when Howard Jones couldn't be with Killswitch Engage, he was able to fill in with them and do a great job. I remember. So, you know, he's one of the power frontmen in the metal world, I think. So and they've been going for a long time. So props to them.
That's for sure too. So we'll have to see when this new album comes out here too. So hope it's killer, and respect into Ollie's memory as well. So actually, that was the reason why. Actually, I think that was the reason why they waited so long to like make new material too, because I think they were kind of real shook up because of what happened with Ollie. So I think it's a good way.
It takes time. It takes time to grieve and get to a point where you want to understand that it's time to move on. And you know, what do they say? The show must go on. So
yeah, as the saying goes. So we'll see what happens. And like I said, when we were talking earlier, did you say how many bands you've been a part of outside of Shadows in the Dark?
I don't know, I wouldn't say bands because they never really materialized too much, but probably 3 others, I want to say. And I don't remember, again, I think we started to come to a name on this one band, and I was probably just out of college or in college at the time, so that's got to be 16 years ago, maybe 17 years ago. So that's a long time ago, so it's hard to remember. But I do remember we used to jam a lot in one of the guitarist's basement, and he was a younger kid. He was probably 18, and he's really good too. So, but we used to jam there. Like, I just remember one time we were playing, just jamming out, having a good time, trying to think of putting together some, start with the riff and start everyone kind of coming in and doing their own thing to see what we could really accomplish, besides just brainstorming ideas and things like that. So, we're jamming and, his mom comes downstairs and just throws a fit. It kicks us all out. And that was pretty much the end of that. And that was the first band, I think, that I was actually, band I was actually a part of. I remember too, because I was in Sam Ash, and Sam Ash is gone now, so Sam Ash, rest in peace. I was in Sam Ash, looking at stuff, and I get a call from my buddy who plays bass, and he's like, "Hey, I got a band set up. I got everyone. We want you to come in, sing and play guitar or whatever you want to do." And I was like, "Okay, cool. Come down, meet the guys and everything." And it was cool. We immediately had chemistry. I mean, I knew a couple of the guys, but there was a couple I didn't. So like 3 of us, I knew 3 guys, and I didn't know 2. So, but it was like immediately we're comfortable, had rapport immediately, and it was really cool. But yeah, that's how that ended. And then the 2 others were kind of like, I had one where I was playing with 2 of my buddies who were brothers. One played drums, and one played kind of like, he did everything. He kind of did a little bit of everything. He did synthesizers, keyboards. He did some guitar, some drums. A little bit of everything. I played guitar, and we did that for a while. And that we actually were able to do in my basement in my own home at the time. So that was really cool when I had that space and then it didn't matter because it was my place. That kind of fizzled out, never really materialized. And then it was back in, like I told you earlier, it's about 2015 through 18. I was playing a lot, and one of those brothers, he was like, I still want to make music. Are you down to play music? And I was like, yeah, sure. And we had met my buddy Alex. He quite a bit younger, but we met him at a concert. It was a Memphis Mayfire concert, which that's another band I really like. And they're doing some cool things right now. Their last album I really liked because it came off an album that I wasn't as impressed with. They came back with a little bit better album, I thought, a little better quality. But anyway, we met him at a concert, just random guy. Just started talking to him, had a lot in common. Heard he play guitar and all this, and then we kept kind of talking through Facebook and whatnot. And finally, we're just like, hey, do you want to try to get together and work on some music together with us? And we actually did that for quite a while. We were working on, the last thing we really were working on was collaborating to put together it was a contest that Glenn Fricker had put on YouTube. And it was about turning a pop song from like the early 2000s or what have you into a metal song. and we had chosen was it Rusted Roots, On My Way or whatnot, I believe. I don't know why I'm like trying to wonder what that song is, but and we had kind of gotten some cool stuff with it, but again, it just never materialized. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's always kind of a downside too, especially if it came to creative differences or, as you say, getting kicked out of your mother's house or to like
Well,
because you
yeah,
guys are
but
too
as you get,
loud. Yeah.
well, yeah, and then with that one too is also we were a lot older, so we're in our 30s, and it's like we have jobs, we have family, and same with Alex, who is the younger one. He's got a girlfriend, a job, and everything. It's just you're just kind of too busy unless you can really spend the time to do it. Which if you got to work, to make money to pay your bills and stuff, it's very difficult to do. And if you got a family, you want to spend time with your family and stuff. Plus, you maybe want to spend time with your other friends and whatnot. So it just became one of those things where we were just kind of too busy to do it. Now, Alex and I, we talk a lot. We still write a lot of music. He writes a lot of music for the band that he's in, and he and him, we're actually thinking of, or we decided we're going to collaborate on a song. We haven't really started it yet, but we're kind of just, tossing back ideas. But that's pretty cool that you meet a guy randomly, and you got a lot in common. They play guitar, you play guitar at other instruments, and then years later, 6 years later or whatnot, you're still talking, and you're still talking about making music together. And that's one of the joys of music. It can bring people together. There's a lot in common that you can have with musicians and people who love music, and it's kind of the beauty of it.
Yeah, that's for sure too. Actually, it's kind of leading to this because first off, how far are you from Indianapolis? Are you only about a few minutes away?
No, I'm about an hour away from Indianapolis.
I guess how has the music scene been, I guess, since COVID in Indianapolis, and I guess in your neck of the woods too, I guess. How's it been?
Well, I live out in the country, so there's not much music scene up this way. But in Indianapolis, after COVID, I mean, what they canceled tours. There was, for what, almost 2 years, most it seemed like. I think I remember I went to see Wage War. Ironically, I'm seeing them tomorrow. I saw them in September of 2019, and that was the last concert I saw before COVID shut everything down. And I think the next concert we saw was Breaking Benjamin when they came back to the Ruoff Home Mortgage Music Center, which I can't stand that name. I still call it Deer Creek, up in Noblesville, Indiana, and that was probably in 2023. So I think it was, in fact, I think it was this past summer. So not quite a year ago, but I didn't go to a concert for like 3 years, and there wasn't many at all in and around the Indianapolis area. So I feel like COVID really struck the music scene in Indianapolis. Now there's local bands, and there's like, we have a lot of cover bands that do a lot of fun stuff around. There used to be a band called Full Circle. I remember they used to do a lot of rock and metal covers, and I really enjoyed, checking out their shows. But I haven't heard anything about them in several years either. So that's kind of disappointing. It's like, oh man. But we have some local bands. One of the, I'm throwing names out there, and people see them. I'm like, again, check them out. One of our local bands that's really good is called the Wise Man Sphere, and some of the guys in there are friends with my buddy Alex, and like I know them, but I don't really know them. I'm acquaintances with them. But they put out some really great music, and it's different. Like it's metal, but it's not metal, kind of metalcore, but it's not like the same thing you hear in that genre all the time, which is what I'd like to do. But these guys are extremely good guitarists, extremely good drummers, singer. They have a singer and a screamer, and a couple guitarists and everything. And they're just a very talented young group of guys. So I definitely, if you're ever in the Indy area and they're around, definitely check them out. I know they've been doing some touring too. That's not in Indy, so they're getting out there, and that's really cool for them. Um, but other than that, it's been really difficult to see a lot of shows. I feel like in Indy, unless I think now it's better, but I think you really have to follow if you want to see like a lot of local stuff, independent local stuff, which is really great support. I think you really have to like follow them, or you have to be looking around at places that have music, bars, whatever you have. We have several music places here that have music. We have like the Hoosier Dome. We got the big like Everwise amphitheater. We got the Rudolph Home Mortgage Music Center. Obviously, you've got Lucas Oil and the field house where our Pacers play, but we have a lot of smaller places too. Hi-Fi is one. They used to have a place called the Citadel, and I don't really know what happened with that. The Emerson is another good one locally that is just very popular for many years, very known in the music scene. Which I haven't been there for a while, but it's a great place to catch a show because it's small, but they put on some heavy, fun shows. And they redid the whole place, so that's really cool too. But I would say the music scene definitely changed during COVID, but I think it changed for everybody. And it took a while to kind of get things back up. But, as I've kind of moved away and not been as, trying to see what's going on and see what people are playing, things like that, I've been kind of out of touch with some of it. But I've got several concerts I'm planning on going to this year already, so hopefully we'll get to see some good ones, and I'll get to see a couple local bands and get to learn about them. Because I always like learning about the local guys and where they are. I've had a couple local bands I really liked, and they broke up, and it's like, oh man, they're really good. Why'd you break up? But it's like you said earlier, sometimes it's difference of opinion, creative differences, all kinds of reasons can break up a band. And that, what do you say? It is what it is, right?
That's to say it would go, and that's kind of the tragic side to it. And I think to your point too, it seems like most of the money seems to be in like tribute bands, or I guess also cover bands too, depending on who you're looking at.
Yeah.
So
we definitely have a lot of cover bands that play at bars and stuff. My dad's a musician also, and he mixes for a band called That 90s Band, and they do all like 90s covers. And he mixes a song, he does mixing for their songs, their live performances about once a week. So that's pretty cool.
That 90s band.
Yep. Straight to the point, on the nose.
That's for sure, yeah. I guess I was trying to remember what the sitcom show was. It was a comedy way back in the day. Was it that 80s show, right? That's what it was called?
Well, they had that 70s show, which was awesome. And they had that 80s show, which wasn't very good. And now they have that 90s show they've had for a while that was on Netflix, I believe. We watched a little bit of it. It was all right, but you can't pass up, or you can't surpass that 70s show of greatness. That was a good show.
I think it goes without saying with like a lot of the cartoons that we grew up with as well. They came in the early 2000s. So, yeah, you still can't beat that magic. It still remains to this day. So.
Yep. I still have my daughter. I'm like, we can watch these shows from Nickelodeon and Cartoon Network and things like that. But you can watch the shows I watched growing up. So it's kind of cute and fun,
Still got the same magic and everything too. So that's why. Okay. Let's go to city music scene. I guess is on the up and up. So I guess we'll see what happens. And plus, I've never been out to Indianapolis before, and probably would be nice maybe just stop by there and then just see what it's like. So.
Yeah, you should check it out. Hit me up. I'll come meet you, and we'll go to a show or something.
Oh, what'd you do?
Always down to go to a show.
Not to say, but all right. Kind of my new job at this point kind of hinders me from traveling too much. So let's see.
Yeah, that's it. We stay busy.
That's for sure.
Always busy.
All right. We'll move on to the next one here, I guess. Talk about some of the gear that you use for your production.
So I use Reaper for my DAW. You can start getting it for free, and then, don't tell anybody, but you can kind of keep using it for free. But, if you're a good person and you want to support the guys, pay the $60 and get it. I don't know if many people know the story about the guys who created Reaper and why it's so cheap compared to other like DAWs that are out there, like Pro Tools, Logic, things like that are Cubase that are $600 just starting out, and that's not even the full program really. But the guys that made Reaper, they created WinApp, I believe it was, and then they sold it for like millions upon millions of dollars. So they decided they wanted to make a DAW that was easy to use, fully functional, with plenty of plugins with it, that would be accessible to everybody at a very affordable rate. And they put it out there, and it's huge with people who have home studios, and even some that are in bigger studios, because it's all studio quality, And even a lot of people I have heard use Reaper for their live performances. So I think that's pretty cool, because I've never thought about that too much. But anyway, I have Reaper for that. I used the old Scarlett Focusrite, one of the most popular interfaces for a long time. I started having a lot of issues with it. It would cut out, things like that. And really, I've had it for a long time, but it's like, oh man, it's supposed to be one of the most reliable. And it's like, yeah. So then I was like, should I get another one or should I get something else? But I ended up getting a solid state Logic SSL2, 2 plus, and I really like the interface I use for that. And it does, everything I need it to do in a very small, compact, little system. But and then I've got about 7 guitars. I've got 5 electrics, 1 bass, and 1 acoustic. But my main guitars, I use a Schecter C1FR Hellraiser. That's probably my favorite guitar. I have an Ibanez SD520 that I've had since 2006. It's actually right here. So this is kind of like my baby. Still plays awesome. Only thing I've done to it is change the pickups. But other than that, it's been around for a long time and still plays like a beast. And then I also have a Harley Benton guitar that I use mostly for like my E standard and drop D recordings. And some people really like it, and some people are like, oh, why would you get a guitar that's from like Indonesia? I think it's where mine was made. It's like, well, it was very affordable, and it actually plays really well. If you do your reviews and stuff and look, sometimes these cheaper guitars are a lot better. And like my Ibanez and my Schecter, they're South Korean made guitars, and they're just fine. A lot of people I know are all about American made guitars, but the difference is, like, I bought this guitar for $500. I bought that Schecter for $750. And it was used, and those were like $1,500 brand new. Maybe a little less than that now, but what are you going to pay for Paul Reed or Party Smith or a Gibson or something, an American-made Jackson? You're going to be paying $5,000-$10,000 depending on what kind of guitar you're getting, and that's a little too much for me. I'm not there yet, But I have a Titan Simmons Titan 50 electric drum set that I just got not too long ago. I just started playing drums actually about 6 weeks ago, and kind of got really decent at them fast. But kind of like, I kind of say basic decent, you know what I mean? I gotta learn some of the embellishments that I can start adding in to add more flair and stuff, But I've gotten good at doing like fills and different little patterns. But I'm striving to get better at everything I do, So I'm taking lessons on all that just to keep getting better. Trying to get into more advanced lessons. There's a lot of guys on YouTube that do a lot of they do lessons and they do this, and they have their private groups or their pantheons or this Partheon. I can't remember the name. Things like that, and I haven't used like that because I don't want to pay another $20 subscription for something else. But my buddy has things like, man, it's so good, and they teach a lot of advanced techniques that is really difficult to learn, and you don't really get necessarily with other like online courses. Once you get to the end, you usually need a one-on-one teacher past that, but this is kind of a one-on-one way of doing it, and it's still online on YouTube. So that's kind of cool. So I use YouTube to kind of learn a lot too, musically, but also like learning about Reaper and things. And if I can't figure something out, YouTube, it's like what do they say? Google that shit. So, GTS. It's like, well, in YouTube, same thing. So, you know, that's kind of how I go about learning stuff. What else do I use? I've got my Scarlett microphone that came with my Scarlett Focusrite. I've got the classic SM57. I've got my monitors are oh my goodness, what are they? I can't remember the brand. I'm spacing the name right now. My memory's not been so good since COVID. Either that or I'm just getting older, So,
I was like, oh my gosh, I'm getting old. So
I feel people say, "Oh, you're not old yet." It's like, well, I mean, I'm not as young as I once was.
yeah,
But they're I don't know why I can't remember the name, but they were very reasonable and they were very effective, which I like. And then I usually just use like in-ear monitors for a lot of things so I can hear so much better that way. Um, and as far as like, I use, that's what I was gonna say, like, I don't really, I have an amp, but I haven't been recording to it. Now that I just got the SM57 finally. I was like, I need to get one. And it went on sale. I was like, I'm getting it. I'm gonna get it. I want to try to set up and record from my amp and see what kind of difference I get, because I've been recording with like, I'm recording with Reaper using SLT tones. So I use that kind of for my amp sim, tone sim, and just kind of come up with, you got your presets and you can just kind of dial them in a little bit. So I try to do that, which is kind of nice for me because like with Tone Hub, you have a lot of stuff in that is based off of, a lot of the rock and metalcore bands and things that are in my genre. So I can find things that kind of, sounds that pertain to what I would like, how I'd like to play and sound like, and then again, I can just take it and I can use it like that, or I can tweak it up and then save it, kind of get myself on a little bit more of my own tone. I know that, people say, well, it's kind of cheating, you're not doing certain things to come up with the tone. Well, I mean, really, you got to get your tone out of your actual guitar. I mean, having a great setup, and it's not about the pickups and stuff, but, having a good setup, and having, good strings, I think are, two of the things that are way better for, being able to craft, a decent tone. And, at the end of the day too, I've always say, well, it's like when I played baseball, guys would buy $400 bats and then they break them when we were in a wood bat league. And I'm like, a $400 bat isn't going to make me swing better. So I was always the guy who bought like the $30, $50 bats, because I would go through and I'd break maybe 6 of them a year. It's like, well, I can't afford to pay, $2,400 for bats in a year. So obviously went with the cheaper alternative. But I kind of say like that, well, if the bat's not going to make me hit better. Well, having a $10,000 guitar isn't going to make me play guitar better, But so like, I take a lot of, I don't think the pickups are as big of, because people say pickups make all the difference in your sound, and I think it's more, how you play and your technique that kind of brings out the tone and sound that you can make. And obviously, when you're dialing in your, amp and your cab and everything to come up with a sound, and your pedals, things come up with that. That's obviously part of it too. But it's kind of the same with that. It's kind of the same with, Tone Hub. Like I said, they have the presets, but then you can dial them in and get it to where you want it to be, save it, and then you have your own preset for it. Same with my drum set. It's like they have presets, but then you can take it and you can change the sounds on each pad or each cymbal to like kind of come up with a unique sound for yourself, which I think is really cool. So at the end of the day, it's just a different way. And a lot of people are doing that with home recording now. And then when you're a one-man show, it's, that's the easiest way for me to go. And it comes out sounding great. So, in my ears, to give it to a sound engineer, they may be like, oh, this doesn't sound very good. These guitars don't sound good. Although I did send off one of my songs that is finished. It's called Shattered. I've been kind of talking about it, trying to promote it a little bit on Facebook. And I did send off all my guitar DIs and my regular stems to my it's like a family member, but he's a buddy of mine, who is a sound engineer, and he's going to go over them. He told me, he said, I don't really need your DIs. Your guitars sound really good. And I was like, it's a great compliment, for a musician who's not really done this on a level that I played a lot, but I haven't done it at this level. You know what I mean?
To reach that high status, you got to be like, I could do it on my own. So I can see why.
It's just, and you get a song, and then another song, and you're like, I did that all myself. I talk about bands like Breaking Benjamin. They went through a breakup of sorts, and now they're back together with a whole new band. But when they came back originally, it was Ben wrote the whole album, that the first album that they came out with after in 2015. He did all the parts, everything, and then he had a band come in, learn everything, so that they could then tour together and promote it and all that. But when I found that out, I was like, that's really impressive. So when you do it yourself, it feels really good. It really boosts your confidence too. That you say, okay, I can do this.
Yeah, that's for sure. And going to actually one of your earlier points, be like, you can't do this and that because then it's cheating. Because I think pretty much anything you're going to do in music, it's going to be cheating in some sort of way there too. Because I think for drummers too, I think it's like if you're playing a trigger or something like too, it's cheating, right? So
yeah.
So
yeah, and then there's so much music out there that you're going to find something that you wrote and then find something else that was written before you, and you're like, oh, I didn't copy them. It's just coincidence. It's like I said, on the new Eminence album, they have a song called The Black, and it starts out literally with piano. It's like it has a little bit of some intro sound, and then it has piano. It goes dun 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 dun, and I started writing a song, the exact same chords, the exact same pattern. I was like, holy crap! I was like, I don't know when I wrote this year. I don't know when you guys wrote it, but obviously none of us were copying. We don't know each other. You guys are over in Sweden. I'm here in Indiana in America. So, but it's just ironic, I was like, holy crap. But yeah, you never know. Like I said, you're like, oh, sounds exactly the same. No, this was exactly the same for the first 10 seconds or whatnot. So kind of cool, actually, though, to hear it from a different band.
I want to say maybe either you're a fortune teller on the side or somebody is able to like read minds these days here too. So I'm not too sure. So
my family on my dad's side comes from Scandinavia. Maybe that's what it was, the Scandinavian area. I don't know.
Got that Scandinavian connection apparently. So it's something. So I don't know. And I guess speaking of which, in terms of like song structure, for instance, too, do you always write the music first and then put the lyrics? Or I guess did you have the lyrics already written? Since your lyrics seem to delve into like what you went through with COVID.
Well, I've done both. My wife tells me write the lyrics first because when you write the lyrics, you get in your mind how you want the song to go, and that's true. And I've written lyrics, and then I went in and started thinking, okay, I want the lyrics to go like this. This is the verse. So I come up with like an intro of sorts. I like to have a good, decent intro, and then bring in the guitars and everything. And when I was writing, like I have a couple songs that I wrote lyrics first, and then I started writing the song. And I think that was easier overall to then construct the song. The only thing I would say with that is, it has to sound a certain way, right? At least in your mind, the lyrics are going to go this way, and you're telling yourself that you're going to write I usually start with the guitar parts. You're going to write the guitar parts that kind of mimic how you want the lyrics to go or how you want it to be sung, right? So you kind of have to say, okay, I can only do this or this. I don't have my full range of what I can do because it has to go a certain way, and if it has to sound a certain way, it has to be a certain way. So I think that kind of constricts what you can do a little bit, because you have to just you have to write it a certain way. And then the songs that I write, I've written songs where I just come up with an idea. Usually I just get an idea for like a riff, or I'm practicing and jamming around, and I hear someone playing. I say, oh, that sounds good. And I start playing a little more, fix it a little more, and I get to something. I'm like, I like that. I record it. And then if I like it, I'll keep it, and then I'll start doing my multi-tracking of it, and I'll just slowly build from there. Song's done, and it's like, okay, I got. You have to then write lyrics for it. So with that, my buddy Alex told me the one thing about that is that when you write a full song and then you want to write lyrics in it, you have to fit the lyrics into what you wrote, no matter what. You have to figure out how they're going to go and how they're going to fit. So if you kind of have to listen to music and write the lyrics as you go, keeping your ideas in check. So I think I don't want to say that either one is easier. Really, I think it just depends on what comes to you first and how you want to. I've been sitting in bed and come up with a lyric idea that I like, just a line or a bar, and I'm like, damn, that's really good. And I'm like, I have to get up and go into my office and write it down so I don't forget it, right? It's like when maybe you're in a dream and you think of stuff in your dream and you're like, man, that'd be great for this. You wake up and you don't remember the dream at all, So, and me, like I said, my memory is not as good as it used to be. So I'm like, I got to write it down now, and sometimes I can take that one bar and just kind of work into a whole song lyrically and then go from there with the music. And other times, again, I'll be practicing, just come up with a riff and then have a whole come up and be able to eventually write out a whole song based on that, get it in the key and everything and make it sound great. And, but again, I don't think I think it's up to the person if they think one is easier than the other. But I just think you can just write, You got lyrics, write lyrics. If you got music, write music. Just don't stop writing. Because if you can write, if you want to write, say you want to write a number one song, that's your goal. I want to write a number one song. You could write 1,000 shitty songs, and then you could write one number one, Billboard number one that just launches you. So never stop writing.
It's pretty much all I need is just one at that point too. So yeah, I can see why.
One-hit wonders do very well.
I mean, yeah, but then it's like they just fade off afterwards. That's the downside to it.
But they're remembered for that one song.
I think the one that always came to mind was "Stuck in the Middle with You." That song, yeah.
Yeah.
That was pretty much a one-hit wonder. So yeah, I can see what you mean. And actually, it is funny that you mentioned that it does come down to preference, because for me, since I'm just strictly a drummer, I have to rely on other people to do the guitar works. So that's why I've collaborated in our little indie community. I've actually done 4 songs already, and I got a 5th one on the way. So I'm actually pretty happy about that. Nice. So
congratulations.
Thank you. Actually, the recent one came out on May 10th. So make sure you all go check it out. So
yeah, you send me the link to check it out.
Sure, you can do that. And I guess let's jump into challenges here a little bit here too. So we know about the health challenges. Obviously, you're still dealing with the things with your kidneys, and I guess if COVID's still lingering, hopefully COVID's behind you at this point here too. But I guess what challenges do you face in terms of music as a musician?
Yeah, COVID's definitely behind me, so that's a good one. Hopefully nothing else pops up health-wise that's not out of the ordinary of what I'm already going through. You know what I mean? I would say one of the biggest challenges that musicians in general have is, especially, young musicians just starting out and the bands that have only been out of it, you're going to have haters and criticisms. And even when you're a huge band, look at Ronnie Radke and Falling in Reverse. He has haters left and right. Of course, he did some messed up stuff too. But, that's one of the biggest things. And even as a small band. Now, for me, I haven't really had that yet. So I'm glad for it. But, I'm sure if I build my following up, it'll come at some point. But, besides that, there still are some background influences, important influencers that tell me that, why are you doing this? You're trying to sell it. You think you're going to be big. Oh, you're too old to do this. Let's do that. And it's like, well, you're never too old to make music. You're never too old to pretty much do anything, unless you're in your upper 30s and you're wanting to try to join the military. You're SOL. But I think another challenge is myself personally. We put pressure on ourselves to write as musicians, whether it's guitar or drums, for example, and we want to get it right. And sometimes you're not going to get it right for 50 times or 100 maybe, I don't know. And I know last night I was trying to track drums for the ending of my song KFG that's going to be finished here soon, the first draft of. And it's literally just the ending part. It's maybe 10, 15 seconds. And I kept messing up. I was getting frustrated. I just kept kind of, so I said, like, Tim, you wrote this, you know this. You just got to play it right. You just got to hit the notes and play it right. And, we can be so tough on ourselves. And, they say, you are your biggest critic. And I know that I am. My buddy, same thing. He's the same way. And I've heard of other musicians that I know are the same way. So we can be our own biggest challenge because we just have to tell ourselves, all right, look, you know it. You just got to keep going and you got to keep working on it and hit it, and you're going to get it. You're eventually going to get it right. And even if it's, something that you've tried 50 takes of, maybe you just need to take a step back away from it or go to a different project or something for a little bit, take your mind off it, because you do that and you put so much pressure, you put more pressure and stress on yourself, and then you're probably not going to get it right if you keep trying that many times. So you just kind of separate yourself. But anyway, my wife was like, why don't you just quit, go to bed, because it was 3 o'clock in the morning. And I was like, yeah, that's probably a good idea. So, go to bed, wake up at 7 a.m. this morning. I'm like, all right, I'm going to go do this. It took me about 5 takes and I hit it. So on the, in one good take. So it works that way. Yeah, I think, you have outside influence, but you also have the inside influences of yourself. So you just always have to, you're a musician if you're good at it, you know you're good at it. So you have to have the confidence to say, I can do it, right? You know what you're doing, so but the outside influence, people that are like the haters, people say you can't do it, people say it's not good. Well, everyone's gonna have an opinion, right? And not everyone's gonna like your music, unfortunately. We want everybody to like it. It's just not gonna happen. You just have to block out those outside influences and hopefully not be offended by it and take it like personally, because yeah, some people troll you and they'll come after you like that, but like, okay, they're being children. You focus on you, don't worry about them. And I think that's that's one of the things you can tell any musician, so they understand, because it can be difficult to block out that outside noise. It can be difficult to block out the inside noise, but it's something you just gotta learn to do.
Yeah, that's for sure too. I guess, would you count that as your advice to the musicians who are on social media or even in your neck of the woods as well?
Yeah, that piece, and then I kind of said it earlier. As a musician, just keep writing. Keep always writing, keep always creating, and like I said, you could write 1,000 crappy songs, but you could then write one amazing hit song that could be the song that really starts your career if you're wanting to really build a music career. And that that can go for a lot of things too, a lot of other things. And but yeah, I think that's kind of the biggest couple pieces of it. But the keep writing thing is, I think, really important.
Yeah, that's for sure too. And I guess for the audience sake, I guess, what social media are you on?
I am on Facebook and Instagram.
Just those two.
Yep. Right now, I have YouTube also, but YouTube I haven't really gotten going. I have a couple YouTube channels. One's for, it's going to be specifically for my Shadows in the Dark music, and then I have another one that is for just like when I go to concerts, I take video. I would want to like talk about concerts we had, like review them, react type of thing to the concerts. I don't really want to do reaction videos for songs as they're everywhere. There's so many of them, and there's some really good ones, but there's it's kind of oversaturated. But like talking about the concert I've been to, trying to get the local indie concerts, and just kind of anything in the music scene that I can get a part of. But so far, I've just started building those, just started doing that. So my Shadows in the Dark is, I think it's Shadows in the Dark or Shadows in the Dark Music for YouTube, and Shadows in the Dark Music for Instagram, and then just Shadows in the Dark on Facebook, just for those. And then my other one, that's the one I talk about in your videos, that is actually called Stone Matthias Music, as Stone Matthias is kind of one of the pseudonyms I've used for a long time when I didn't want people to know my name for certain things. So, and it also, then the Stone name came from when I was a lot younger came from gaming. You know, we hear like when you had to come up with like a gamer tag, and you know, I kind of had gone by this nickname, and I was like, oh, that'd be cool for a gamer tag too, and then it just kind of stuck. And the Matthias part is just it's my last name, and I think in German based, one of the iterations in German. I
That's
thought
pretty
it'd be kind
funny.
of cool. I thought it'd be cool to have that for like YouTube, because then it's like, you know, you don't really have your identity on there. I mean, obviously, if you do a reaction video of like a concert, or you have a review of a concert and your face is on it, you're gonna be on there. But not everyone's gonna actually know your name to look you up and stuff. But you know, people can be creepy these days, so sometimes you can't be too careful. But you know, at the same time, you know, it's like with music, you know, From Ashes to New has a song called My Name, and they say, you know, gotta let the world know my name, and you kind of want to get it out there one way or the other if you're trying to build a following for music or anything. Obviously, a lot of people use social media to build a following for crazy things, you know, stupid things sometimes. Um, but yeah,
Yeah, that's for sure too. And actually, I always want to say it was like a dual identity too. So it's almost like a disassociation, even though I kind of use on my YouTube channel, I just use strictly my name, so because I'm like putting a face to it too. So that's
yeah,
just me in
yeah,
general. But I think for other ones, it's almost like let's kind of do like this Superman, Batman sort of personality, if you know what I mean too.
hmm
So I can say why.
yeah.
So and actually, are you part of the group Band Together on Facebook?
What is it called?
Band Together.
I don't believe so. I don't recognize the name.
And so please join. You'll be able to share your music on there, and you also get to see other musicians that you can perhaps collab with as well there too. And
Yeah.
that really helped me out because I was able to meet, first off, interview a good number of people, but then also meet some others, and then be able to collab with them as well there too. So that was always interesting.
Oh, that's cool. My only I do have I'm in a group called like independent musicians and songwriters, and there's a lot of people on there that we share songs and we talk about stuff, and people support each other on there, and you know, help give people follows and things like that. And then you do have people that talk about wanting to you know, do collaborations, and they're looking for this person or that person, this qualification, that qualification, and you know, they get people that speak up and whatnot, and I get it. And it's like, and I know there's probably, you know, most of the people are probably honest and everything. Sometimes it will make you feel like, well, I don't really know this person, you know, and I don't want to like share my music with them. Or what if they take my music and steal it? Like if you write a bunch of stuff for them and then you send it to them, and then they end up using it as a song, but like they ghost you out, you know. I wouldn't be very happy. I'll say that.
I think you and everybody else would not be very happy, to be honest. So yeah, I can see. So that's why it was always good to interview him first, and then you get to know him a little bit more
Yeah,
there too.
you
So
got to kind of vet it out.
basically, yeah. So we'll see what happens. But best of luck on your journey right there, mate. So we'll see
Yeah,
what
I
happens.
appreciate it. Thank you so much.
No worries. So, say we breeze through questions here, and let's jump into some fun ones here. So, I guess you ready?
Sure, I'm
Yeah. So,
always ready.
always ready. All right. So, start the first one here. I guess. What would you say is your favorite food?
Pizza by far. My wife says I have a problem with pizza because it's one of those things that's like a vice. You know, I'd like to think that I eat fairly healthy because I kind of have to with my health. Um, but then it's like I get this craving for pizza, and I'm just like, oh yeah. And you know, we have um, here in Indiana, in the country, we have Casey's gas stations, and they have pizza there. And people are always like, gas station pizza, like people in the city and people who haven't actually had it, they're like, gas station pizza, that sounds terrible. It's amazing, right? You know, get their spicy or hot sausage pizza, and it's just so good. Especially if you like to like dip your pizza in spicy ranch dressing, just add to it. It's great.
Well, it sounds good. So that'd be interesting to try out there too.
It's
And
really good.
actually, was a funny story
At least,
with.
at least ours is. I don't know about others.
I don't know if I can speak for anyone's because I don't know. First of all, I don't know how many gas stations actually sell pizza. I know they do like maybe chicken wings or something like that, but I don't know about pizza. So
Yeah.
actually, I was going to tell a nice little story here too because my grandma's been deceased for a good while there too. But when we were having one of my parties for my grandfather, she ordered like all these pizzas, and keep in mind, this is a party with like a bunch of older people, for instance, too. So they're not going to like eat like so many slices of pizza, for instance, there too. What I mean was like we had like everything ordered. So we had our own little foods like food rings and maybe some shrimp and that stuff right here too. So unfortunately, you just load up. I think we had pizza like there for literally like 2 weeks, something like that. So
Yeah. I could smash when we get Casey's. They always offer a 2 pizzas for was it $20 plus tax, and these pizzas are big. Like they're big, right? They're not little 12-inch pizzas. They're like 16 inches. So it's a really good deal. And man, I just could smash at least half of it. Probably 3/4. Probably could get through a whole pizza if I really wanted to. It's that good. So I mean, there's other good pizzas, but that one's really good, especially for the price.
once I do that, he just had to catch him like right when he's like super hungry and everything there too. We'll wolf the whole thing down. So
Yeah, I have that problem.
I can imagine. So yeah. Now for next fun questions here, I guess. What would you consider as your favorite movie?
God, I don't really have a favorite movie. It's kind of like with most things. I don't really have a favorite thing or a favorite this or that. I have favorites, but I like a lot of the movies by Christopher Nolan, especially if you go back to like the when he did the Batman Dark Knight series, the Dark Knight trilogy. Like those movies. Inception, Interstellar, really like those. Love the movie Tenet. That was a good one too. I just saw Oppenheimer, not too long ago, and it was all right. It wasn't as big as I thought it would be when it comes to how much credit people gave it, and for the fact that it won Best Picture of the year. But those are kind of, I mean, I have a lot of movies. I'd say one of my favorite movies is The Departed, and it came out in like 2006. So Wahlberg and Affleck and I mean everybody was in it. So Jack Nicholson and was just relishing that role. I think that's definitely on the top of my list there. I bet you if the question was to me and my wife, what's your favorite movie together, it'd probably be The Departed. And
We got Leonardo DiCaprio.
She's a huge Leonardo DiCaprio fan, so we always see like all his movies. And I think he's really good as an actor too. So yeah, I would probably say The Departed is probably one of the closest to my favorites. It's definitely a movie I could watch over and over again, probably still like all day. You know what I mean? It's just a fun, well shot, great movie. The ending, like, came out of nowhere, kind of blows you away, and you're just like, damn. So I remember watching in theaters, and they get to the end, and I'm like, holy shit, Like I'm sitting here trying not to give it away, and it's like this movie's been out for almost 20 years, But anyway, you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I know. And I was gonna say I kind of went through like a mafia sort of spree, because like Goodfellas, Casino, kind of like the Martin Scorsese sort of movies there too. Even a little bit of Wolf of Wall Street. So yeah.
Yeah, Wolf of Wall Street's great, and it's ironic you say that because my other job that I do from home is I do day trading and strategic stock investments. So that movie really like hit home to a degree. I mean, not as crazy as them, but like it's just like damn, and obviously they were kind of cheating people, but it's really funny too. I don't know if you knew this, but Jordan Belfort is in that movie. The real Jordan Belfort. He is at the end. He's at the end, and he's the speaker. I haven't seen it for a while, but he's speaking at like a conference or whatever they're at or something. And I found out some years later that he sued them for his role in it for some reason. I'm like, but you chose to be in it, I mean, I know like you went through all this and you lost all your money, so I'm guessing you just need more money. I'm guessing you're doing these shows for like $1,000 a pop to make a bunch of money back. But yeah, that was an interesting story. I can't remember the exact details because it's been years, but I was like, you're suing them for your participation or something thereof, and you chose to be in it, so what were you expecting? You know what I mean?
Apparently some sort of cash grab in a way. So he was able to like pay off all his fines or whatever else behind the scenes. So I'm not too sure.
Yeah, maybe, I don't know.
But good choice nonetheless. For the next question right here, first off, do you drink any alcohol?
No.
Okay. So we'll leave that one out, but I guess what's your favorite non-alcoholic drink?
My favorite non-alcoholic drink is I don't drink any soda or anything now, but before I was really big into like just Coca-Cola. That was just my drink. I loved having a Coca-Cola, and my wife, she's like cherry Coke's the best, and then this and that. I'm like, I just want the original flavor, the original Coca-Cola, and um, and that's kind of my thing. My mom's a big Diet Coke person, so maybe it runs in the family. Um, but now, so because I'm on dialysis, I have a fluid restriction. So I can't have a whole lot of fluid because the dialysis is the only thing that I have to remove fluid from my body since my kidneys don't work. So I have to be on a fluid restriction. So for the last several years, I developed an addiction to eating ice, which I know a lot of people do, but it's really a horrible habit. And I know it. I tell myself it and everything, and it can be annoying to people so I try not to eat any ice around people because the crunching, can be really annoying. But so before the ice, water was just my thing. I was just mainly a water person because I used to drink a lot of soda when I was younger, and I finally got away from that. I had actually gotten in like 2016. I'd gotten up to. I'm not very tall. I'm about 5'7". I'd gotten up to like 200 pounds, and I was like, okay, I'm going to cut out all this empty calories, all the sugar from having sodas, and I dropped like 30 plus pounds in just a few months. So I got way back down to, a more maintainable, more manageable weight. Yeah, thank you. And but then I finally got to just drinking water, and I just got like water was great for everything. But now it's the ice. So favorite drink of choice is frozen water.
I'm gonna say if you see like a frozen lake there too, don't try to mess with that sort of water as well. So
or frozen yellow snow.
Actually, I used to do like the frozen little lemonade when you used to put it in the ice trays and just put it like little toothpick and just have like lemon icicles, for instance. So
yeah.
I guess lemon trapezoids would be probably the correct term for it, since that's pretty much what the shape of it was.
Mm-hmm. So, yeah. I had the Luigi's lemon ices in the little cups. Those are really good. They're kind of expensive, but man, they are good. It's a good treat.
Yeah. And actually, I always thought they said like chewing on ice because first I'm assuming you're sucking on ice, but I know chewing on ice they said it was bad for your teeth because I guess since it's so hard. Yeah, I think your dentist recommends.
Well, I usually let the ice like sit and just kind of melt down a little bit so it gets soft. That's how I try to do it, to try to be more gentle on my teeth. Not saying that you don't have times where you bite into one and it like breaks apart and a piece shoots down and hits you in the gum and it's like, oh, didn't like that. But that's why I say it's a bad habit. I need to get over it, but it's very hard. I would say it's harder for me than it would be to quit drinking or quit smoking or something that's like quitting nicotine is very difficult for people to do. At least I've witnessed it with my friends. Cause I've had a lot of friends in the past who've been smokers. And obviously like alcoholics, they don't want to, stop drinking. But yeah, but we're getting there. We're making baby steps. That's, doing something is better than doing nothing.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to find ways to not have it so that I don't have as much during the day. So for example, like if I'm traveling, I'm like, okay, I'm not going to take any with me. That's going to keep me from having it. So I'm going outside the house for a while. Like today, we had some appointments and things, some shopping and, errands, and we were gone for a while. So I was able to resist that for a while. And at bedtime, say, okay, I'm not taking any ice to bed, just take a little bit of water, just trying to find ways to kind of remove it from my ability to have.
Fair enough. But I did notice the coffee mug behind you there too. I guess is that a Pulp Fiction sort of reference there?
That's from Pulp Fiction. Yep. Yep. And I got a picture of my buddy Jeremy there from my 32nd birthday or something. Which, ironically, we were drinking. But I don't drink anymore, so.
I was going to see. And just to fill in the audience, there was the whole thing with the wallet. It says bad motherfucker on it. So, yeah.
That's right.
Let's see.
Yep.
Well, good choice nonetheless there, too. All right. For the last fun questions right here, Tim, I guess what would you say is currently your favorite song or a song you've been listening to a good bit recently?
Oh, man. Again, that's kind of one of those where it's like I don't have a favorite song, but I have, like, favorite bands that have songs that I like, you know what I mean? But, for example, like Fit for King's probably my favorite overall band, just because I really enjoy their music, but the lyrical content really has spoken to me. In fact, my wife and I, when we first got pregnant, back in 2018, and we ended up having a miscarriage. And right before we had the miscarriage, Fit for a King had released their album Dark Skies, and the album it was like it was meant to be there for me during that time because I was mentally kind of just gone from the picture. I was so absent through my grief, and I took it very hard. I was drinking a ton. I was smoking a lot of weed, and I was just kind of lost at the time. And their music kind of just really built me back up with the ideas of hope, and they have a song on there called Oblivion, and I know that the song is really kind of about, I think it's kind of about the physical abuse of family, but it kind of has this message where it says, tell me I won't be forgotten, if just for a moment. And like that line alone was like, that's how I felt at the time. I felt completely forgotten. I felt like I was, like God had just abandoned me, because why would this happen? And I don't blame God for it happening, but I'm just saying, like, they will, well, if you're a believer in God, you say, well, God did this to me or God did that to me, and why would do this to me? I wasn't much like that, but I was like, why did this happen? I didn't ask why it happened to us because I know it happens to a lot of people. It's happened to my cousin. It's happened to a lot of my friends. But yeah, it was a very difficult time. So that album really helped me through it mentally. And then we eventually got pregnant 7 months later, and we had our daughter. We have now. But I got this tattoo on my forearm, which is of the rose with its rainwater. I call it kind of like the weeping rose. Let's see if we can see it there. And I got that one as kind of that tribute to the child we lost, based on just that album gave me that idea, because it was there for me. Not that my wife was there for me and other people weren't, but it's one of those things where, just like with music, we talked about music challenges, you're just extra hard on yourself, even though you didn't do anything. So like I pushed myself into a hole because of it, and I kind of blocked other people out, for, I don't know, a couple months maybe. But yeah, I rose out of it, and it's kind of like I say with music, life, when you go, I say, my shirt says, keep moving forward, keep going, like my song is called KFG, it means keep effing going. And, they're one of the bands that they just have a lot of songs that it's hard to pick out a favorite, but they have a lot of songs that speak to me. Now I think some of the bands that are doing big things now in the metalcore world, and these are bands that some people don't like. That's their opinion, obviously. And I think Bad Omens is doing a lot of good things, and I really like them. Falling Reverse is getting huge right now. They've never been one of my favorite bands or anything like that, but they are doing some big things. And Ronnie Radke just doesn't give an F anymore. Like he's basically out with a middle finger up to the world right now, and that's probably what we're going to hear from their new album when it comes out this summer. So, and of course, can we not forget the explosion of Sleep Token? You know that I know a lot of people don't like them. They don't. I think one of the reasons why people don't like them too is especially metal people is they're like, well, they're not metal, because they've been put in this metal category, and they're kind of right. Their newest album, Take Me Back to Eden, which is pretty much a masterpiece in my opinion. It's got some metal elements and some heavy elements, but it's really not the quintessential metal album that you think of, when we think of metal. But there's so many subgenres of metal that everything's almost anything in rock can be considered metal now. You know what I mean? So even though they do things, the thing about them and Bad Omens now too is they're doing things differently than the pattern of how metalcore music and metal music and rock music has gone for the last some years. They're making their music a little differently, a little uniquely, which makes them stand out. And that's why I think they're going to be like some of the bands that are really going to keep pushing the genre forward as we go through time. Trying to think if there's any other bands that really Wage War. Again, I said they're one of my favorite bands. I don't necessarily know yet if they're pushing the boundaries. Seems like they're, they used to have this heavy sound, and I know a lot of fans want it back, and I would like to hear it back too. But I like what they're doing. They're doing some different stuff. It'll be interesting to see. They have a new album coming out again this summer too. I think July, but it may be September. I've seen 2 different dates, so maybe they moved it back. It'll be interesting to see, like, what they have, because they came out with 2 singles, Magnetic, and then they came out with Nails, and they're 2 completely different types of songs. You got one like industrial metal heavy song, and then one that's more of a softer song, more along the lines of their song Gravity or something from back in the day. But yeah, as far as a favorite song, man, I don't know if I could really say a favorite song. It's just, like I said, it's just more like favorite artists. And I listen to a lot of we have, a lot of people have Spotify, we have Pandora. I just kind of listen to like the thumbprint radio that's like, and it just goes and you just hear all kinds of different songs that you've thumbed stuff throughout the years. And it just, it's a nice playlist. It's just thousands of songs and shuffle. So, that's what I kind of do. If there is a song that I really like, sometimes you do have to play it over again because you just got to listen to it again. But as far as a favorite song, I mean, I would have to think about it. If I really wanted to pinpoint a favorite song, I would really have to think about it.
All right, sounds good though too. Yeah, I know there's
we have time
a lot
to think about
it. You're good, but I know there's a whole lot to like choose from there too. So I can see what you mean. So
there's so much.
Actually, he'll come back to me on Messenger and say, like, "Oh wait, I know what my favorite song is." So all right.
Probably will.
And I know you mentioned about the miscarriage earlier too, so I'm sorry to hear that. So hopefully you guys are doing well.
I appreciate it. Yeah, we're doing great. You never, what do they say? You never forget, but you move on, and you have to continue living life, and that's something good to live by. Because everyone's going to go through tragedy. It just depends on when it happens. Just like I've gone through a lifetime of health problems and things, but I could sit there and say, I give up. It's too much. I give up, and just give in to it. But I can't do that. That's not me.
Yeah, that's for sure, though, too. So, Tim, we are down to one more question right here. We're actually almost out of time, but I guess, did you have any questions for me or any final words you want to say before we jump to the final question?
I don't think so. I'm sure that I will think of some in the future, but, I'll be in contact with you anyway and stay in touch and, see how you're doing and what's going on. And, if I come up with like stuff like that, I'm sure I'll be hitting you up.
It'll be nice to collab at some point there too. So we'll see what happens.
Sure.
When this does air, I mean, I am going to be taking a break here pretty soon there too, but least then, by the time this one airs, I've already taken my breaks, so we'll be kicking some ass then and there too. So, if there's nothing else,
awesome.
If there's nothing else here too, let's go ahead and jump into this. And might have been harping on it as we have gone along here too, because of like many of the hardships you have done or have gone through. But here's how it goes. Given what COVID has done, obviously you've been through a lot right too with your health problems. But for those musicians, and I guess people in general, I guess what's our message of hope would you give to musicians and people out there as we try to move forward in the post-COVID world?
Well, I would say, if you're a musician, I kind of talked about earlier, wherever you're at in your music career, if you're a beginner, you're really advanced, and you want to make music, you make music, and you make music that you like, regardless of what people say, because that's how it's going to make you feel good. That's what's going to bring out your message, I guess. And never stop writing, because you're going to be able to come up with something that's could be a number one, or at least put together something that really means something to you. Like right now for me, doing this album, it doesn't have to make money. I'm not in it for the money or anything, but I'm in it for the message it's going to give, hopefully, to the people that'll listen to it. And at the end, it'll be kind of like a conclusion, a closure to COVID for me, after several years. And so that will be good on my part. But, our world is changing. There's a lot going on. People say you have to be a certain way, you have to do this, and I say, you have to be yourself no matter what. Be yourself first, and, be who you are, and don't let the outside people tell you what you should do or how you should do it or who you should be, because there's a lot of influencers out there that will bring people down. There's a lot of people who want you to change your ways, and it may change you not just musically, it could change your whole personality, your whole person, if you give in to those outside voices. But in music, I think there's always hope. There's always something, and there will always be something out there to help you, as a listener, as an audience, as the audience, but also as a musician. And again, just never give up, never stop grinding, keep going, keep moving forward, no matter what.
Gosh, I thought you were going to say keep FN moving forward or something like that there too. So that's all I was like.
I try to keep it toned down a little bit. But
I mean, yeah, we did drop a couple profanity words there too, but that's whatever.
So, it happens.
Yeah. And spoke like a true prodigy. So
I tried,
Yeah. Yeah, that's all good. Right. So Tim, we've reached the end of my podcast right here, and boy, oh boy, did we talk for a good bit. I guess, did you have any final words?
I think, giving that statement of hope and whatnot is kind of a good place to give those final words. But leave it at that, No matter what you go through, no matter what hardships you face, the obstacles that are in front of you, whether it's in your life or with music, you jump over the obstacles, you push the boulder aside, you do whatever you can to pick yourself up and go forward, because giving up, is the last option, and it shouldn't be an option. You should always strive to keep going forward, but also, keep a positive attitude about as much as you can in life, because once you get into that negative attitude side, and it's with anything. Once you get into that, it just drives you down so hard, puts you in depression, anything, And I understand that those things are all normal things that, are happening now. And, kick that stigma too. Don't think it's something that you should hide, and, get help. And, there's a lot of resources out for stuff like that, but, always persevere and keep your head up. And like I said, the world's a changing place, and there's a lot of bad going on right now, in the U.S. and around the world. But, we can rise above it. You just got to keep your head up and keep grinding, like I said, and keep moving forward, and just keep positive, stay happy, and live the best life you can, and don't take any day for granted.
That's for sure. And I guess you got any shout outs?
As far as shout outs, I got my my buddy Alex Michelle, we talked about him a little bit. Um, who else can we shout to? My wife Carissa, awesome. It's an awesome human being. Um, my best friends, Philippines, another great person, another great human being. Known him since I was a child. You know, he's basically my brother. You know, he's always there for me. He rock, he has like hard rock metal. You know, he'll listen to it. He'll give me, critique, whatever you want. You know, and I can't not shout out to my dad, Steven. He he's helping me write one of my songs right now called Sorrow. I have a video on Facebook. If you go to my Facebook Shadows of the Dark page, there is a video on there that's a teaser of that song. It's like the intro, and like maybe the first verse of it. So it's like a minute and 27 seconds or something. But what I did is I put a bunch of pictures on it, kind of from my COVID journey. Some pictures from like when I was healthy before, pictures from when I had COVID, so you can kind of see what I went through firsthand, and then some pictures after I recovered from COVID within this song called Sorrow, which is actually one of the first songs I started writing for this album. It's one of the first songs I kind of came up with, and it's about the sorrow it's really about the family members that go through, because obviously we talk about if I'm the person in the hospital that they're going through pain, they're going through hell, all that, and we think about that, but we sometimes don't think about the family that's at the side and how hard, they're having to take it, what's going through their head, thinking that they may lose their husband, their son, their father, although my daughter was probably too young at the time to really, understand it, and probably still is. But that's a cool thing for people to check out if they want to kind of learn a little bit more about my journey. And so that's on Facebook, along with a bunch of other stuff for my teasers and, just a couple things about my music, little bits here and there until I, get something completely done that I can, release like a demo version of or something to that effect. So, but I look forward to getting these songs written and getting them out there for the world to see, and hopefully people like them and they'll get the message in it, and it'll be maybe, even if it helps one person through something. Like I said earlier, I was listening to that Fit for King album, Dark Skies, and it really helped me through the miscarriage that we had. So if my album can come out and have any impact, I have a song that's going to be the title song called Dead Fighter Starter. It's going to be the last track. I've written some lyrics. It's got some really passionate, poignant lyrics about it, and I hope that song will be like the title track for individuals who haven't just gone through physical illness or mental illness, which is, it's common and it shouldn't be a stigma, but, that leads to, depression, anxiety, suicidal thoughts or deeds. People who've gone through physical abuse in relationships, and, women who've been raped. I mean, there's all kinds of things out there that literally you could have died from, or that kill you emotionally, mentally, and that I want to be the anthem for those people, so that, you can hear that and you can think, I was dead, but I'm a fighter. Now I'm a survivor. And that's the goal of this album.
Yeah, it sounds good. And I guess just for the audience, say one more time, can you just list what social media and streaming platforms you're on so they can check you out and maybe check out the music as well?
Sure. Right now, I'm not on any streaming platforms, as I'm still trying to write the album, and I haven't gotten any songs fully done yet. I do plan on, once I get the demo versions done, I may use SoundCloud to upload those. But right now, I have not, gotten to that point. But otherwise, you can find me on Facebook, Shadows in the Dark. You can find me on Instagram at Shadows in the Dark Music. Those pages are both relatively new, as I kind of wanted to wait till I got some content to put on them. But there's a good handful of stuff on there now, and I plan on putting some more stuff on this week coming up, this week coming up, before I go out of town and take my break, And then also I'm on YouTube. Shadows in the Dark Music is going to be the channel specifically for the band music. There's nothing on there yet, but it's set up. It's gonna, we'll get there. And then Stone Matthias music. So Stone is Hias. Heck, I don't even know how to spell it. But Stone Matthias music. That's where I do my personal music stuff with going to concerts, maybe meeting bands, interviewing them, talking to them. Maybe there's a lot of little things I plan to do with it. But so far, I've got some old videos on there. It's probably like 16 videos maybe that you can check out from way back. There's Chevelle. I've got Hailstorm on there. Who else is on there? Wage War, Avenged Sevenfold. But again, they're a lot older videos, so hopefully I'll get some good new videos with new phones, better cameras on the phones. But that, and hopefully another thing I'll be doing on that is get into some local independent shows here in Indy, and kind of trying to show the music scene in Indy and some of the local artists and things. Those are plans for down the road, and there'll probably be even more. Just right now, it's still just kind of brainstorming everything I want to put on there. So, but yeah, that's as far as right now. That's it. I don't have a TikTok. What other social medias out there? I don't have Snapchat or anything like that. So
you got Twitter or X, so yeah.
Twitter or X. I don't have that. I've never been a big social media guy. I have a personal Facebook, and I don't go on it that often. I only go on it when I get notifications and check what they are, and then I pretty much right back off. But again, I have the other stuff on Facebook, and I think that's Facebook, Instagram. We'll get you definitely YouTube if you get it going and get a following. Getting a following is the hard part. But again, you got to kind of grind for that and get yourself out there. Be confident. Don't be afraid to interject. Especially there's so many groups out there for musicians, independent musicians, and others where people want you to advertise, you, so they can check out your music. So there's a lot of people that want to hear new music from different artists, especially young artists or artists just starting out, things like that. It interests me a lot, at least, and that's a good way to get your name out there. I know I've grown some of my following from doing that, which is pretty cool. But you got to be be interactive with some of that. So it does take some time and some effort, if you want to grow that brand of yours. But again, you want to do something and make a career of it or whatnot, you need to build that following, and you need to grind for it. And obviously getting out and for the musicians that play live shows, getting out and playing live shows, even if you only go out to make a few bucks, or you drive 100 miles just to make $100, to play 3 hours at a bar or something crazy. You're getting your music out there, and I know that a lot of bands start out with that. I've been to concerts where there's been 15 people. And it's like, oh, I feel bad for the band, in fact, I went to a From Ashes to New, and they're big now, I went to one concert with them and here in Indy some years back, 2019, and I don't think there's more than 100 people at that concert. It was really cool. We were all up front. We were all talking. It's like everyone was friends by the end of the night. It was one of those cool kind of intimate concerts, and at the end of the show, they came out and let people talk to them and take pictures and things like that. So that was cool too. And I've seen them several times. I've met those guys a couple times, and they're really cool guys, and they're doing some cool stuff too.
That's good to hear. So best luck on your journey there, mate. So we'll see what happens. Can't wait to see what sort of projects you got there. So
yeah, I'm gonna keep grinding and put some stuff out there for you guys.
All right, sounds good. All right, so everyone, my guest today was Tim Matthews, hailing from the state of Indiana. He's part of a solo project, Shadows in the Dark. So make sure you go hit him up on the socials. Go check out and see what this guy's doing right there. And eventually we'll get him on the streaming platforms at some point whenever he eventually finishes the album there too. So make sure you all stay tuned for that there too. So Tim, I want to wish you all the best of luck going there forward there too, mate. Stay strong and stay safe out there, mate. It's a crazy world out there. And stay tuned, yo.
Rock on. Take care.